Well, workplace vaccination mandates they vary, and some employers are now requiring people to get the COVID-19 vaccine before coming into work. And that includes Ohio State University, announcing every student and employee needs to show proof of vaccination. But there are religious and disability exemptions. New at 6 tonight, 10 TV's Karina Nova talks to a lawyer about how those exemptions work and your rights.
After the Food and Drug Administration granted full approval to Pfizer's COVID vaccine, more companies are making being vaccinated a mandate. Those include Delta Airlines, Google, Walmart corporate employees, and many others. But there are religious and disability exemptions, which has people wondering about their rights. Attorney Mary Beth Mellick says people can object to getting the vaccine under Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the Americans with Disabilities Act.
The question is going to be is by allowing that employee to come to work unvaccinated, does that cause a burden on the employer by increasing the risk of communicating a disease amongst its workers or to the public? So the employer has to balance that against whether there's an accommodation.
Those accommodations are to keep everyone in the workplace safe, an obligation employers have under OSHA.
Or they don't want to have an unsafe workplace. They're liable for that. They don't want to, as an employer, they care for their workforce, so they don't want a bunch of sick employees. They don't want employees that are afraid to come to work because they're going to catch COVID. OSHA has guidelines.
Plus, it's up to the employee to prove there is a religious conflict based on the law.
It's very broad and it's very vague.
For example,
if somebody says, well, the Catholic Church says this, and if the other side can prove that the Catholic Church does not say that, then they may be asking for an unreasonable accommodation. So that could come through, and I have seen some applications for exemptions from some universities across the country that have asked that. They want a letter from your bishop.
It doesn't matter what city, county, state you live in here in the U.S.?
Not for Title VII. No, that's a federal law.
As for medical exemptions, Ohio Health says there are very few true medical exemptions for the vaccines. Those include a known severe allergic reaction to any of the ingredients in the vaccine. And with Pfizer and Moderna, if you had a severe reaction to the first vaccine, you'll want to talk to your doctor, but you probably should not get the second dose. If you had myocarditis with your first dose, also talk to your doctor. Mollick says she's not seen any lawsuits in Ohio when it comes to religious or disability exemptions.
I think most people are going to be accommodated. There's going to be a way to either work remotely, wear a mask, get tested, and do your job.
At the end of the day, an employer is legally allowed to fire you if accommodations can't be made and you can't prove a religious or disability exemption for the vaccine. Karina Nova, 10 TV News.
Well, the attorney also says when it comes to making exemptions for people in fields like nursing or senior care, it gets more complicated because accommodations are more difficult to make.